Hey, welcome to Van's Tried It. Today, we're going to be making some blueberry biscuits. And we're going to start off with our basic biscuit recipe. And it's really simple. We just start off with 2 cups of self-rising flour. Now, if you don't have self-rising flour, then to 2 cups of all-purpose flour, you can add about 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And that's basically what self-rising flour is. It's flour that has some baking powder and salt mixed in with it. So we're going to have the self-rising flour here today. And to that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now, I would not normally put sugar in my biscuits, but for this sweet blueberry biscuit, I like to make it just a little bit sweeter. And so I'm going to take, and now I'm going to run my whisk through this. This is in lieu of sifting. You know, back in the olden days, probably your grandma, your great-grandma, basically anything she was baking, she would sift. There was a couple reasons for that, because if any moisture gets in the flour, and they certainly did not have the sealed storage that we probably do today, it would start to clump up a little bit, and this is just a way to make sure there's no clumps in here. That's not really much of a problem today, but I still like to whisk it because it does just make it a little bit more airy, and it's going to make our biscuits fluffier. And also, we want to mix that sugar in with the flour anyway, and this is a good way to do it. So we've got that whisked together, and now we just put a 1/4 cup or half a stick of butter. Now, people used to tell you, and this is what would make people afraid of making biscuits, that the butter has to be really cold for good biscuits. That's not really the case, though. The more important thing is how you work your dough. Because remember, we've been making biscuits for really centuries, and they didn't have freezers, they didn't have refrigerators back when they were making biscuits. So a lot of times the butter would just be room temperature. Like I have butter sitting out here room temperature. I could have used this butter over here. This was in the refrigerator. It's been out for a little while. It's still a little bit cold, but I would not be afraid to use even a room temperature butter in here. And so what we're going to do, whatever temperature you want it, you want to go in here and you want to start to break up this butter just a little bit at a time. Hopefully without throwing all the flour all over you, especially if you're wearing a black shirt. And so just a little bit at a time. You can use a pastry cutter. That's really kind of what it's designed for. And of course, obviously, the colder the butter is, the more work this is. But we are just wanting to get all of this down because we're really wanting to get this really incorporated into our flour. And here's the great thing. At this point, you can really work this as much as you want. You're not going to hurt it. And so now that it's pretty much broken down, now we're just going through there and we're looking for any solid bigger pieces, because the more we get that butter broken down and all throughout our flour, then the fluffier our biscuits are going to be. So we just stir it around, just looking for any lumps or clumps. And in fact, you don't even have to use a fork or a pastry cutter. You can actually just use your hands. Just go in here and just start breaking that butter up. And that's really probably the easiest way to do it, because it kind of lets you feel. You can't always see how much it's broken up in there, but when you get in there with your hands like this, you're really starting to feel it. And so that's kind of what we're doing here. And like I said, at this point, You can play with this as much as you want. Just work it, work it, work it until really you almost can't even feel that there's any butter in there anymore because it is so broken up and combined together with our flour. And that's really what we're wanting. Because now what we have is our flour has a different texture. It feels more like a really nice sand, like you're in Hawaii, sitting there on the beach, running your toes in the sand, kind of playing with the sand. That's kind of the feeling you're wanting to get out of this mixture right now when we incorporate all this butter in here. Boy, wouldn't it be nice right now just be sitting on a beach somewhere with a drink of your choice in hand, listening to the waves, maybe with our toes in the right where the water is lapping up against us. Whew, wouldn't that be nice? A nice vacation right now. I'm always ready for a vacation. I'll tell you what, since we're talking about vacations, why don't you go down in the comment section. Let me know where's your favorite place to vacation. You like to go to the beach? Are you a mountain person? Or maybe you just want to go where there's the best shopping. Let me know where you like to vacation. And hey, while you're down there, would you go ahead and like this video? And also click that bell. That way you get notified every time I post a new video. And if you're not a subscriber, I would really love it if you'd become a subscriber. That would really help my channel out quite a bit. Thank you so much. But that is where we want it now. And so we're going to add our next ingredient. And that is just 3/4 of a cup of milk. And we're going to just pour it all in here. Because remember what I said. We don't want this to be overworked. The more you overwork this, the tougher and less fluffy your biscuits will get. If you ever see a biscuit and it's really thin and just hard all the way through, almost certainly it's because the dough was overworked. So we are really just wanting to stir this around in here until we don't see any more loose liquid and we don't see any more of the flour mixture just wandering around in there loose. And it doesn't take long. So just kind of go on a search and destroy mission, getting rid of all that extra flour in there, making sure it all gets incorporated in here together, just like that. And that is all it takes right there. Now, I'm going to set this back here for just a second because we're going to need to have a little bit of flour out here on our surface. I went ahead and put some wax paper down here just to give me a good surface to work on here. And now we're just going to put a little bit of flour on there, and that'll just keep our biscuit dough from sticking. And so we're now going to just take our dough, take it right out of here. We're going to put it right here. And now, we're going to fold it just 3 times. Because like I said, we don't want to overwork it. That's 1. That's 2. And that's 3. And that's it. Now I'm going to flip it over one more time here. Make sure I got some flour down there. And now I'm going to take my rolling pin and I'm going to roll out this biscuit dough. There we go. Bring it closer to me here. we're really wanting this to get down to maybe 1/4 of an inch thick here. Just like this. There we go. That's just where we want it, right there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to now take our fresh blueberries. You could use frozen if you really wanted to. I like to put a nice, healthy topping of this on here. Just get it. A lot of blueberry on there. I mean, we're going to make some blueberry biscuits. Let's get some blueberry in it. You know what I mean? So, we've got our blueberries on there. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to not so much fold it. We're going to just start kind of big rolls. Just big wide rolls just like that. I'll drop the blueberry. Just like that. And falling out, we can just get them back in there, just like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this out by hand now. And I want this to be about 1 inch thick. Just like that. Like I said, we don't want to overwork it. Now what I have here is in fact I think I'm going to go with a little bit smaller pan. Let's go with, let's see if we can get them all in this bad boy here. And I'm just going to grease it up with a little bit of butter here. There we go. And I did forget to get my biscuit cutter out, so let me grab my biscuit cutter and then we'll get right back to you. All right, so I have my biscuit cutter and now we're just going to make sure I get some flour on the edge of this so we don't stick to it. Now we're just going to cut us some biscuits here. Just like that. Now, we're going to put this back together a little bit. Once again, we don't want to overwork it. Just want to get it combined back together so we can get, so that's for our biscuits because we don't want to waste this. Should be able to put this back together and get one more biscuit out of it. Now these leftover biscuits are not going to be the prettiest biscuits in the batch, but that's all right. They're still going to be good biscuits. Now, here's the thing. Whenever we put them in there where they're combined together like that, touching each other, they are going to rise instead of spread out, so that's going to be a good thing. These will raise up. Now what we're going to do is we have our oven heated to 450 degrees. We're going to put these in there for about 12 minutes. So let's get them going. Okay, so while our biscuits are cooking, we're going to make a frosting for it. And the frosting is super simple. We'll just take 1 cup of confectioner's or powdered sugar. And we're going to add to that 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then 1/4 cup of milk. And that is literally all it is. And let's see, what do I want to do? Let's use this as our spoon. And we're just going to stir it up. And we really want to just make sure that we get all the lumps out of it. So we stir it. And that is all it takes right there for this frosting. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to let it set. We still have about 8.5 more minutes for our biscuits to be cooked. And then we will take them out, let them cool for just a couple minutes, put this frosting on there, and then give them a taste. So we'll get back to you in about 10 minutes. Okay, so I just got our biscuits out of the oven, and now what we're going to do is we're just going to put some butter on top of them here. And I'm just going to use my little brush here and brush it. I could have gotten like a stick of butter out of the refrigerator, a cold stick, and just put it on there like that. But this is just as easy for me. And so just give us a nice buttery top. Just butter it till you just think it is buttery enough. And for me, that takes a lot of butter to be buttery enough. So we'll stop there. We're going to let this now cool off for a couple minutes before we put our icing on there. And then I'll get back to you in a couple minutes. Okay, so we have cooled off just a little bit. Let's give this a final stir. And then we're just going to go ahead and just pour this icing right over our biscuits. Good gracious. Just like that, and it seeps down into the pan. That's fine. We're just going to let them set right in that icing. And now we're just going to get one of these out. I'll tell you what, I'm even going to get one of the scrap ones out, one of the last ones we made. We're going to get that out and take a look at it, if we can get it to hold together. Let me just cut across here, just so you can kind of get a good look in there. Look at that. Just beautiful. Grab us a little fork. Now, obviously, the 3 that came out of the big batch, those are going to hold together even better than this. But the important thing is, what does this taste like? I mean, this is just the right amount of sweetness in here. That frosting is delicious on here. The biscuits came out nice and flaky, and that blueberry filling just really gives this fresh burst of flavor as you eat this. Yeah, this just makes a really nice, simple, fresh dessert. Hey, bottom line, I tried it. You should too.